Hey guys, and welcome to my Druid PVE guide in Legion. A lot of people have asked for it, and I hope it includes everything you probably want to know about Druid gameplay. If it doesn't and you still have some questions, just ask them in the comments below and I will try to answer every one of you. So before we start, I want to tell you where I get all my information from. There is a Discord channel called Regrowth, and it's including a Pharaoh channel too, of course. And there's a guy who's called Xangsara, probably you know him. He's the Pharaoh guy who knows almost everything about Simcraft, talent calculation, relic calculation, all that stuff. And he shares everything with you, so if you have a question or you probably don't know where to find it, just check this out and I'm pretty sure you will find your answer there. So the last thing I want to say is, a lot of you guys were asking for the Droodfocsprofile or some Weakauras I'm using, and I just want to say thanks to you guys for all the huge number of comments, the questions you ask, and the new subscriptions, the positive energy. I didn't expect that, to be honest, and of course I want to help you. I uploaded this document including almost everything, and you can find the download link in the description below. So the most important thing to know about Pharaoh Druids is that a Pharaoh Druid is a melee dot class, so you gain your main damage with your bleedings. You have a resource, it's called energy, and with that energy you gain your other resource, your combo points. With that combo points you use your so-called finisher. It's either the big bleeding called Rip, or at the 25% execution phase your Ferocious Bite, only to refresh your Rip. To gain your combo points you can either use Rake, it's the other big bleeding, and it's really important to keep this up on your boss all the time. If you have 2 or 3 targets you can use Rake to gain combo points and just spread your dots. If you only have 1 target, so you're only a single target playing, use Shred as your main combo point gainer. If you already have the 2 set bonus, Thrash becomes more important even for your single target rotation, because now Thrash also gains combo points and it's another bleeding on your target. In combination with the Omen of Clarity proc, Thrash does not cost any energy, so it's pretty important to use Thrash when Omen of Clarity procs. If you have a cleave fight with 3 or more short living adds, you should use your AE abilities called Swipe, or if you choose the talent Brutal Slash as your main combo point gainer, and it just replaces Shred for the moment. If you choose the talent Savage Raw, which is main talent at the time, make sure to keep it up all the time. And if you're a beginner Pharaoh Druid, I'd say it's easier to play with Incarnation, because at the beginning you have to watch out so much stuff, all the bleedings, no energy stacking, no combo point stacking, you see what I mean, and it's probably a bit challenging at the beginning, so Incarnation is the better choice for beginner, I think. And if you're more advanced at Pharaoh playing, at the gameplay, on the rotation, you can later on switch the talents and use Savage Raw, and you see what I mean. So the question is, why should you play Pharaoh Druid on raids? I don't want to lie to you, Pharaoh Druids are rarely seen, especially in the higher content, if just everything depends on the setup to kill the boss. So sometimes it can be that you're benched because you're Pharaoh Druid. I think the most important thing is to bring the player and not the class. And if you like to play Pharaoh Druid, if you like the gameplay, if you're having fun, guys, it's just a game, keep it on, play Pharaoh Druid. I can tell you it's possible to play Pharaoh at high-end mythic content, it's possible to play Pharaoh on really high mythic plus keys. He has a really good and really solid DPS. If you're in progress on a progress boss and really need solid DPS, Pharaoh is amazing for this. I don't want to lie to you, sometimes it can be hard to find a raid who's even looking for Pharaoh Druid or is even giving you a chance to show that you are a good damage dealer or can be a useful player for the raid. Because Pharaoh Druids don't have that utility like other classes, like a rogue with this ridiculous number of death cooldowns. He just can soak anything, can soak the whole raid if he wants. The warrior who has a shout or the great execution damage, the demon hunter who has the great mobility or the darkness. I mean, Pharaoh is pretty close to the mobility, that's not what I'm talking about. But demon hunter has also a huge number of pull DPS, and yeah, there are just better choices for the raid setups, so Pharaoh Druids aren't that often seen in raid setups. So if Blizzard would change that a bit, I'm not talking about making Pharaoh Druid #1 DPS, I'm talking about make it more reliable and more useful for the raid, give it more utility like a rogue probably, or a warrior or kind of that. Even the tank druid has the better raw, and yeah, sometimes Pharaoh Druids are just not that useful like other classes, that's all. And if Blizzard would change that a bit, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would play Pharaoh Druid, because Pharaoh Druid is amazing gameplay and it's really challenging. So guys, I think that's enough introduction for the moment. Let's talk about the Feral Druid talents. So here you can see all the talents you can choose. Let's talk about the level 15 talent. It's Predator, Blood Sand or Lunar Inspiration. Lunar Inspiration is the weakest one at content because you don't have 3 targets all the time. Blood Sand is used for single target and Predator is used for cleave fights. Level 30 talents, Renew, will Displace a Beast and Wild Charge. I actually almost always use Displace a Beast because you get a great mobility with this talent. Renew is pretty nice if you need more self-heal, but I actually never choose Wild Charge. I always use Displace a Beast. Level 45 talent, Balance Affinity, Guardian Affinity and Restoration Affinity. I actually never use the Restoration Affinity in PvE. The Guardian Affinity can be useful because your damage taken is reduced by 6%, but I actually almost always use the Balance Affinity because you have a higher range as a melee, you don't have to stack in the melee camp. In combination with the legendary bracers, it's amazing because you can just hit almost everything around you with Thrash. Level 60 talent, Mighty Bash, Mass Entanglement and Typhoon. It depends on what the raid really needs. Typhoon can be useful, especially on Botanist, for example, to kick the ads away when they almost reach a melee. Mass Entanglement can also be useful and Mighty Bash for single stuns. It just depends on what the raid really needs. Next one, 75, Soul of the Forest, Incarnation, King of the Jungle and Savage Roar. Savage Roar is the main talent at the time. Incarnation can be good when you need some more burst at one point or on really short fights, and I actually never choose Soul of the Forest because it's the weakest one. Next one is Sabertooth, Jagged Wounds and Elune's Guidance. Actually it's only one choice to make and it's Jagged Wounds. The 100 talent, Brutal Slash, Blood Talents and Moment of Clarity. I never use Moment of Clarity, it's the weakest one. I choose between Blood Talents and Brutal Slash, depends on what kind of fight you have. Brutal Slash is amazing for heavy cleave fights. Blood Talents is just always used for single target or just multi-dot fights. So at the end I want to give you an overview. If you play single target, choose Blood Sand, Displace a Beast, Balance Affinity, Mighty Bash, Savage Roar, Jagged Wounds and Blood Talents. If you have a bit cleave, but the boss is still the main focus target, choose Predator instead of Blood Sand. If you have a heavy cleave fight, choose Predator and Brutal Slash instead of Blood Talents. The next thing I want to tell you something about is legendaries, trinkets and feral gear overall. So let's start with the legendaries. A lot of people ask me what's the best legendary. I actually can't answer that. Most people play with the bracer and the boots or the bracer and the ring. Sometimes even bracer and ring if you have heavy cleave fights and you don't use blood talents. In combination with brutal slash, all that stuff. It almost always depends on what boss you are. Some people even play with the legendary trinket on Scorpion if you want to scumbag a bit. Yeah, it just depends on boss fight, but if you play with blood talents, the boots are almost always the best choice in combination with the bracer and the ring. I even saw someone play single target with hands and boots together. This can be a great choice too. I personally don't think they have such a good synergy together, but the person has amazing logs and I think he's doing everything right with that. So just try this out on your own, what's the best choice for you, and I'm pretty sure it will be fine. So the next question is the trinket question. When you check out Warcraft logs, you see that a lot of people play with the font and the foci, or the font and the convergence. It's a pretty good choice to be honest, but the font is pretty RNG with his procs. Sometimes on short fights I don't even have one proc. If you want to have more reliable DPS, more safe DPS, probably try a stat stick, or just even the Draw of Souls trinket can be pretty good. Yeah, the trinket thing can be pretty RNG sometimes. So if you want to know what's the best trinket choice for your character out of all combinations you already have probably, just use Simcraft and simulate the trinkets and there you find the best combination out of that. So last but not least, let's talk about the stat priority. Agility of course is the most important stat and it's the main stat, then versatility and mastery over critical strike and over haste. Blizzard changed that system a bit, so the second stats aren't that important anymore. They're really close to each other. If you get an item with more item level, with more agility, it's almost always worth it to exchange the older one. If you have the choice, of course, simulate your character. Sometimes the secondary stat priority depends on your item level or what secondary stats you already have. Sometimes if you don't have any haste, even haste is the best stat for you because you already have a lot of mastery or a lot of crit. And yeah, just simulate your character to be sure what's the best secondary stat for your character and for your item level. So guys, let's talk about the opener. Here you can see a picture I downloaded from the regrowth I already taught you about, and there you can see before the pull you have to precast the regrowth to activate Blood Talents and go in stealth. On pull, use Rake. Immediately after this, cast Savage Roar to have the buff up. Go ahead with Berserk, Tiger Fury, the weapon. Cast Thrash if you have the 4-set bonus. Go ahead with Shred till you have 5 combo points. And the next one is pretty important. Hard cast Regrowth to activate the Blood Talents again before you use the Rip on the target. If you already have the legendary boots, it's pretty nice because you don't have to hardcast the second regrowth, because at that time you should have a free regrowth, so you don't have to switch out the cat form and just can regrowth, activate Blood Talents and put the Rip on the boss. I did this wrong for a pretty long time, to be honest, since someone told me in a not really friendly way. I didn't have the legendary boots at that time, so I opened with the precast, go in stealth, use Rake, and then I didn't use Savage Roar. I just gained 5 combo points to have a full Roar and not to have to hardcast the regrowth. The funny thing about this, although I did this wrong, I made a rank 1 at our first Star Augur kill, so I think the opener isn't that important for Feral Druids, it's just more the whole gameplay around it. After you did this right, you only have to follow your normal rotation. I refresh my Rip bleeding when it's about 10 seconds left, because with the artifact weapon you have the chance to trigger a Shadow Rip on the target. If you only have 5 seconds left and this one procs, you only have a Shadow Rip with 5 seconds left. So it's pretty important to have a higher uptime on Rip. Just refresh Rake if it's needed to be refreshed, if you gain combo points with that. Use Shred to gain combo points, and Thrash of course before you use Shred with a 4-set bonus, or of course when Omen of Clarity procs. If you play with a Savage Roar talent, make sure that Savage Roar is always up, and make sure that you activated Blood Talents with the regrowth cast before you use the finisher. So at the end I want to give you an overview again. So I'm fighting like 1 minute or 2 minutes, and so you see what I'm talking about, and probably everything gets more clear after that. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. So guys, that's all so far. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know there's still some things missing, like what kind of relics you use or how you level your artifact weapon. I will put you some links in the description where you can find this information. I actually didn't want to create this tutorial too massive and too long. And if you still have some questions, of course, ask them in the comments below. And don't forget to check out the Dreamgrowth Discord channel. It's amazing and you can find all information who are really important about feral druids there. And yeah, if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and probably subscribe if you want. And thanks for watching.